Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ace 8.6. Yes, of course. And we are playing as Germany. Get the clock rolling. Yes, I started some. Going to get more supplies and money, or supplies sold and metal. And hopefully we are racing to pump this up as fast as we can. Okay, well, we're down to medium popularity again. Okay. 5 Wella. 5th Wella. You want to mobilize the 5th Wella HQs. Yeah, why not? Moved all these over here just to sort of get them out of Berlin because things pop up in Berlin and I didn't want to have to click through all those. So, let's go here. These are taking, I think, a big chunk out of my Officer Corps reserves. Sure we got, yeah, okay, we're getting all of those guys out. A lot of units. Oh, I'm sitting here thinking the clock was moving and it wasn't. Uh-oh. Gotta watch that. Still have a few more units. Let's see if we can deploy some of those. Okay, oh, some factories just got deployed. Okay, IG Farm and Rotwell, should the Reich expand. IG Farben and the chemical plant at Rotwell. Okay, supplies a little bit of metal. That's appropriate. Those plants, because this is an industrial capacity gain here, with an oil conversion tech gain as well, because that's what the basic factory was, and those things use lots of metal. Basically what they're doing is injecting water into coal, liquefying coal, and then processing it into gasoline. So that one is an appropriate level compared to, oh, you can also see I've some divisions to have to attach to those HQs. Just because these are showing up as Jaeger divisions and I sort of want them to be a bit different, I did have HQs for them. Okay, Switzerland, when that didn't come out sounding well, did it? Switzerland would like to buy some BF-109s, and so we have a choice. We can sell them some BF-109s, lose some money, sort of. I don't know that it's equivalent, but it's some supplies, gain a little bit of money, you know, 100, whatever. And Switzerland will get a squadron of 109. So if we're planning on invading Switzerland, we'd be facing a slightly stronger Switzerland. And historically, Germany sold them some 109s. You can see here they had white crosses in red with put white stripes on them once the war started, and on the tail to really sort of show up, mostly to anti-aircraft gunners, Swiss anti-aircraft gunners, that these 109s were theirs and not German aircraft straying into Swiss territory by accident, because they did shoot down. Well, they shot down, I think, 1 or 2 Allied aircraft that strayed over Swiss territory, maybe a German aircraft. I know one German aircraft land, but that'll have to cover that later. Or we cannot sell them this, and they'll get a different event, which will make them not like us a little less. So that wouldn't be good. And get even cheaper, though I don't know if they're as good, but a squadron of fighters from France. So we'll sell them. We'll do the deal. But so that either way they get some fighters. That's jumped up, I think, because all of those HQs are all upgrading to the current new standard. Yeah, sort of a second. Luxembourg will no longer receive money for supplies. Okay. Attach these guys to this sort of a second motorized, armored, whatever you want to call it, force. Keep on top of that. One is getting ready to. Let's. Yeah, which wasn't so sensitive around the edges. There we go. Wish the class submarines had. It may be slightly my fault. Not having the best name. Okay, electro steel welding has advanced, and I think we will just simply stop that for now. We'll probably be back to it someday, but their NSS HQs have advanced. That's good. We, we've talked about getting a lot of stuff to do. Occupations, we'll see whether we need to make SS occupation units or not. Okay, those are all sort of 39 here. That's good enough for now. We don't need, well, the big thing we need here is, yes, the pluses to, mobile units are good, but it's really the hours in between them. We could decide not to get the HQs, and well, right now I'm not using these headquarters because I think we're going to be getting some bunch, I don't know, in as historically named ones via events. But if we don't, I'll move these over to the front and use them. But we very well may be expanding beyond it, and I just don't. Obviously you got the core black ice, and they sort of need to do it, and they submodders will often do things a little better. And so, but duplication. I will say I was asked if I could have Third Reich events just simply integrated into Black Ice. I said no, by one of the sort of new caretakers to it. It's for various reasons, and not that I don't want it to happen, but I guess the shortest answer is anything that I contribute to Black Ice, I consider it theirs to use. Like I've sort of said on for the Hearts of Iron 4, it was a different guy who came in and loaded up or made different colorized pictures for the Winter Olympics events that I contributed originally to this version of Black Ice, and showed up in the new ones. And they're free to do that. I want them to use the events, definitely. But they have, dance show, which I had a black and white photo of a sort of modernistic interpretive dance done indoors for it, and they changed it to one of the big Nuremberg rallies with a bunch of women dancing there out of doors, because that was a color photo. So to me it really loses something, but I contributed to it. And so as well as other, trust me, what I contributed directly to Black Ice is less than 1% of the Great Black Ice. So don't think or whatever that I'm some major contributor to it. It's some, compared to all the other stuff that all the other wonderful modders that have actually worked to make Hearts of Iron 3 Black Ice, I minusculely contributed to it. That's all I've done. But I have done that, and all of that is free for them to use. And they can take my idea and twist and change it and do it. I might not like it, but I've offered it to them to use. So if I were to say, oh, you could use Third Reich events in it, that's sort of to me saying you can use Third Reich events in Hearts of Iron 4. And then what if somebody else who's working on Black Ice, well, I want to change this part of Third Reich events for, well, you know, if it's just some balance question, you know, like we're looking at the you know, how much steel an event uses. Hell, I don't care about that. If you know, you think you, for whatever reason, like I'm rethinking it, but you think you better interpreting, because all we're doing is interpreting reality into a game, and we are all wrong, because we are all making some mistake, maybe big, maybe small mistakes, I don't know. So I know I'm not right on these issues, on how much steel went into the west wall, or how much steel for the anti-aircraft guns along the west wall. I know I'm wrong. Am I way wrong? I don't know. You know, in comparison to for this game. So some balance question, I don't mind. But like, oh, you're changing the images? Why? You know, as time goes on. And that's sort of, I guess, my ultimate is, to a degree, a control thing. But as you know, Third Reich Events deals with sensitive topics. You just slightly change some of the text that I sort of think sort of you know, negatively portrays the Third Reich. Change it just a few little words, you can sort of make it sound positive to the Third Reich, and you know, and so that's why it's sort of, you know, saying that it's not that it's got to be my name on it, or I got to have full control over it. I got to have final control. There's a difference between full and final, and so that's just why I objected to having it in for this. And then theoretically, even though Panzeroo sort of turned it over to the new caretakers, which are doing a very good job, you know, does he get to use all those events? And I have other plans for Third Reich events for Hearts of Iron 4, so that's why it just, I have to say, you know, said no. But but some of the people, you know, they're doing the thing. So what I'm sort of hoping out is for, you know, obviously you can play a little faster than I'm playing, and I do know a couple of you have posted that you have sort of not waited for me and are sort of you know, playing long ahead. But maybe some people are going to come later and they can learn what in advance some of the mistakes I've made, or whatever, to realize, oh, you know, turn down these you know, research the text to get the bonuses, but turn down the HQs, because there's plenty of other HQs by events that are cheaper and better and don't take up your manpower and your officers. You know, I don't know, but we're going to learn. Sorry for that little bit of digression. Okay, SSHQs advance. So, and OG is just a optics manufacturer, and I thought the advertising was interesting from a magazine. So and this, I'm sure they fulfilled some contracts for the government. I just say I'm sure because I'm sure, I don't know. But they also sold a lot of this stuff commercially, you know, to sportsmen, yes, but also soldiers got permission or whatever as the real war started to mount scopes on rifles. You know, if you have a good marksman who wants to put a scope on his K98K once, you know, the real war starts and it's no longer worrying about inspection so much, they're gonna, you know, You got, you know, Hans over there who's a great marksman. Oh, you want to put a, you know, an 8-power scope on your Mauser? Go ahead, son. You know, I'm sure that would be. And then also officers and NCOs, a lot of them bought, privately bought, binoculars and other sort of optics. So, sniper warfare and advanced tank optics. I look at that as development that we're doing for that. And we also have another national decision. Study for the SSHQs. Yes, good. Yep. Are they down here? Where did they show up here? It looks like. Ah, so we have a full an army. So what we're going to do here is, come on, detach and attach, because otherwise the SS Hamp will have too many. Things here, so we'll have this, which we have no higher SS HQs. We will have the SS Hamp will convert up shortly. There will be an event. Or the Hauptamt, or what is this? SS Hauptamt. I forget. Whatever the next level up is going to happen. And so that we can attach more stuff to it. So I'm starting to move stuff over to the border here, as you can see. Getting it sort of organized, a motorized infantry division or corps here. Okay, Jan Reis Rosenbeck. He is, and there's another, which I've been made aware of, that a little bit more info on, another fascist, or fascist or national socialist, maybe a little bit more national, maybe a little more fascist, Czech party at the time. I don't have good numbers on memberships for either one of the parties, so I'm not absolutely sure which had the biggest membership. I do know that he goes on to play a significant role in the government. The youth leader from this party, the flag, Vietka or whatever, the flag it's called, the youth leader of this party becomes the overall youth leader for all the Czechoslovak, well, all the Czech youth organization. It's sort of all joined into one. It's a Czech version of the Hitler Youth, but it's so the guy from this party takes over the whole thing, and not all. Well, I don't know the details of it, but I don't think it was compulsory for all Czech children to be in it. But I also don't think, from some of the stuff, that all the Czech kids that in it were just either Nazis or fascists, or their parents were. I think it was just seen by many as just a youth organization, and there was a lot of pressure to join. So I still sort of think this is the main one. But again, I don't have good numbers on who it is, and the sort of higher ranking, well, some of the higher ranking okay, so these guys here, which obviously now we have, which we should deploy here. Okay. But the reason we should deploy them is to put in, not Rommel, but decent officers. Now at 39s here, we have a lot more officers to choose from. Oh, here he is. looking for that. So it didn't delete him, which may be just a flaw in my code, because I know I can remove officers. I'm sure I have it there. I'm absolutely sure, and I was sort of looking to see if it worked or not, because I knew it didn't work one time before, and I thought I had fixed it, but you gotta play it to find out, really, to really know. So he has both Panzer Leader skill and Gebirgsjäger skill because of his training from both of those schools that he went to. And there is a version of him, I do believe, right now in China. I do believe so. And if the AI is using him right, then it's, you know, he's over there. So okay, let's go down to level 2 generals that looks for ones with a good set of traits. Traits take a while to earn, and because traits need long time fighting in a specific combat environment, you know, a single one to earn a trait. So is it, you know, how long is it gonna take someone to earn river crossing? You know, how long are they gonna have to fight? And obviously someone knows the mathematics, but of how long they have to fight across the river to earn the river crossing trait. Yeah, there we go. But I'm talking about how long in game terms. You know, how many cross the river battles are you going to have, and how long are they going to take to fight out each one, and how, you know, when are you going to show up? You know, if we take a mega long game and we, instead of having Japan as our ally, which we're planning on it, but if we were doing some sort of world conquest, yeah, we can earn a lot of those kind of things, because I know of, you know, never did it, but if you've watched my British series, the traits that the guys that held this line here and for Britain, including here, oh man, they were like so many traits which were mountain warriors and maxed out, even for the Chinese, you know, all the Chinese generals and whatever, maxed out their skill levels, and I could have turned them loose somewhere else in the world and they were like mega superstar leaders, because they sat there so long and were in combats for so long. It's ridiculous, and so they you know, maxed out about everything you can max out defending that line there, you know, whatever it was. So yeah, you can earn them up, you know, you can earn a city busting for some long siege in Moscow, but that's sort of what it takes. And so towards the end they can earn all kinds of good stuff, but not so, but it just simply and takes, you know, your skill level improves, you know, the basic number, as you fight across all types of terrain. So that's why sometimes getting some guys with good traits are better than, okay, these guys. Okay. Now we've got some more in production, but these regular infantry ones have no headquarters. You see, I'm still doing, like I said earlier, still doing headquarters for the Jaegers, because we're going to keep those names. That's what we're going to do. But let's move. Mushroom. Okay, cool. No, Rommel won't stay there, but the leaders will change. No, I don't know if these are 3rd, 4th, or 5th. Well, I'm just gonna bring them over here. Well, I guess maybe. Well, hold it now. Stop. Let's come down and look for. Okay. So, well, let's start with 94. 93. And 95. Let's do that. And so these are meant to be fairly good divisions that don't have or don't use fuel. Okay. Well. Attach these guys to here. Now, just so that you know, and I recheck the stats again for this, and of course they do vary by what text you add to them. But basically, naval bombers are your best sea attack aircraft of these two types. Well, I think they're best. Well, excluding in, we can look at in future, maybe the okay, fleet destroyer, good. We get to have an HQ for these guys, but maybe the carrier base are better. But excluding the carrier base, the naval bombers are your best sea attack aircraft. Again, various techs, as you can see, will all you know, they have air-launched torpedoes currently, model 1937, and I think that may be the current model, so they're not going to upgrade from that. So they're the best for that. But the flying boats have the greatest sea spotting capabilities. I'm still not sure exactly how well they'll do against submarines, but either type. Now, of course, if a surface ship spots them, I think pretty sure they'll join in, and we do know that they do go after submarines too. But so the like I say, the flying boats, but the flying boats don't have nearly as good as sea attack ability. So if you were to send a bunch of flying boats in after a carrier group, shall we say, you're not going to do so well. Send in a bunch of naval bombers, you're going to do well. But to spot them, you need the flying boats. That's why I like to mix them. Come on, fleet. Oh, yeah. You can use these guys. These guys, various techs, aerial mines, yes, you know, so it's a sea attack improvement, as well as other sea attacks. They're just not going to be as, you know, targeted for it. So when we are, you know, somewhat at peace but still fighting Britain, like I was doing when I was playing Britain, using these guys will come out and support the fleets, but you know, the fleet attacks, but they're not as good as the dedicated ones. So that's why I mix them. Okay, and Hitler's birthday parade. This is the one just before going in, obviously, into Poland. It was a very big military parade. You can see Hitler still wearing brown. He's in, well, there's brown over here and there's some brown here, but this is getting to be a much more militarized gray with a little bit of navy blue uniforms, but he's still wearing his brown. I think that's him wearing black right next to him there. But he changes his clothing color to gray after the war starts. So costs a little bit of supplies to run the parade, make all the stuff, but we lose a little more descent. So that's good. Oh, I want good. Okay. We have our first heavy bombers. Oh, Richthofen. Well, maybe a little too good tactical. Air. We don't need a dive bomber. And I know I could have edited them out, but I don't like these false guys. If I thought about it a little bit before, okay. Fisher, since he's just a strategic bombing proponent, and we will put them under your Corp B for bombers. We might do a strategic bomber headquarters someday. We'll get a bunch more and maybe reorganize those up. These guys. Yeah, they are. They're not one of those, so let's stick them here. Yeah, that's a good one. And we will put them under Cass. I thought C might have been not enough. Okay, so we're getting close on some of the ships. Submarines here. These guys now cheaper, because what did they start out at? 15 or something? I see, so that's getting cheaper because we're working them down to get those heavy transports affected by that. And we've got all of the Panzer divisions and back to at least working on the knives now a bit. Okay, aircraft prototype evaluations have advanced. Understand what it does, but I don't know really why it's in there, but here it is. Helps with a lot of various ones. Okay, let's go medium bombers. We're gonna want some of those. So yeah, obviously it helps out a bit. Yeah, I thought this was interesting here. We saw earlier, or did we see? No, we haven't seen, sorry. Different mod. But here is television in the 1930s, and I know many of you watched my earlier show, or earlier series, so I won't go into too much. But I was surprised at how much there was television back before World War II. Basically for Germany it was just sort of in the greater Berlin area. But London had television at this time. There was a London station. There was a small Paris station, or broadcasting. And I think it was mainly just New York for the US that they were developing. And they all had their own indigenous television programs developing with very little buying somebody else's tech. Obviously they sort of understood the basic concepts that other people were working on. But here's an actual period television, and then here it is, somebody watching. Obviously they're maybe a little bit too close to it, but to get them in the picture so you can see the relative size of the screen. That's just the standard weight signal for it. Now of course they did make sort of big, and I think they were not television screens that lit up from the back, that were vacuum tube type setups, but I think they were projection, like you do a motion picture projection television screens that they set up around Berlin during the Summer Olympics, so that people could see the Olympics live on television from that in large viewing rooms. But so all of this develops. They have radar guided bombs. Towards the end, I think maybe it was, I don't know if it was the Fritz X or one of those sort of guided bomb, guided rocket, somewhere in there, that was airplane launched. They did have one that actually had a television camera in the front of it. The Germans did, and so the if you will, bombardier, not the pilot, not the co-pilot, but somebody in the bombardier, they'd have to get close enough to the enemy ship, because they were designed as ship killers, and so they would launch this either sort of like a glide bomb, or it was a rocket. I'm not sure which, but it had a television camera in front, and then like a some very thin, I think it was probably copper wire, but long, thin copper wire, that would feed the signal back up to the operator. So it was a closed circuit system. It wasn't a broadcast system, if I remember correctly. So I think that's, yeah, I think it was a closed circuit to go into do an early primitive anti-ship killing. So this helps some of the tech develop. Some of the stuff like that, the Germans were the farthest ahead on it, where the Americans at this time were sort of trying to work out. One of their theories is pigeons don't like water, or don't want to land on water. So pigeons will want to land on a ship. So if they're in a bomb falling out of an airplane, and they have a like a screen thing in front of them that sees out the front of the bomb, they'll want to go towards the ship. So they were trying to train pigeons up to tap on it to where they would want to go, to like get initially it was just to get a reward, but they were trying to do that in there. So so the bomb was designed that, and it actually sort of worked. Where you tapped, it would center the guidance on it. They never actually made one that would work, because I don't think like the pigeons could keep up tapping and stay conscious as they plummeted out of the sky, inside of a bomb. Obviously they wouldn't survive the impact of the bomb, but it was sort of a ridiculous thing that the U.S. was working on. There was a lot of screwy stuff, and yeah, the Germans were also doing screwy stuff too, but some of the stuff, they were pretty much ahead of the game for most of them. Okay, claims on Memel. Okay, if we do the claims on Memel, Germany loses neutrality, which of course makes it easier for us to declare war, but we get threat. But yeah, we want the Memel claims. Memel was another situation here that was very similar to Danzig, except for it was fully part of Lithuania, and it was more than just Memel. Memel was this little bit of coast that had been part of the German Empire for a long time, and the great majority of the people living there were both German and very much wanted to come back part of the Reich, so they were sort of pro-Nazi. Again, when you have places like Danzig and Memel and the Sudetenlands having 80-90% support for the Nazis, that doesn't mean that they were all National Socialists. It just means the Nazis were reunifying Greater Germany, and they wanted to be part of Greater Germany. Where you look at, yeah, the vote was super high, but we saw how it wasn't private anymore, that agreed to have the Austrians as part of Germany. But there were a lot, the Fatherland Front was the biggest party in Austria, and it was very popular. And the Fatherland Front was a fascist Austrian party that was not pro-unification. Now, I think a lot of the Fatherland Front people got on board with the Nazis, and were all part of the thing. But there were also a lot of other parties and groups going on in viewpoints in Austria. So I put these things as, yes, their very high support. Ooh, we lose 5 in dissent. Okay, so we're done with the dissent game for now. And we've also lowered that. Good. It's very good. So yes, the support to join the Reich was very high, and at least from stuff, I don't know if it was quite as high German population as Danzig was, but it was. I do believe they were the majority population in there at the time. And the Lithuanians, well, they can. Okay, so we have this. They can choose to stay, I guess. I don't know what, right away at this time, in early 39, Germany wasn't being super harsh on people. They weren't even being very harsh on the Czechs in here at this time, because the world was watching and they weren't yet at war and all that stuff. And so you sort of really had to be a serious troublemaker. Now they were shutting down, and I just had a little bit of advice about press laws that they're doing for Hearts of Iron 4 Black Ice. The guy who was doing it was putting it as a state-owned press, and I go, no, it's just a censored press. And there, because it is, and watch my, check out my mod for this mod, Hearts of Third Reich events. As we've seen, it was 90+% privately owned. Even the publications that were done for the Nazi Party and whatnot were generally done by printed, publications, either manuals or magazines for the different stuff, were published by privately owned publishing houses. Yes, one's very much in the Nazi circle, but but all those, like the art magazines and all those other things that we've seen, the Berliner Illustrated magazine, those are all privately owned, and they are not, they're not directed by Goebbels or Goebbels' office. Do this article. No, they were, from all of my research, they were free, for the most part. They were free to publish what they wanted, so long as it was more or less, it wasn't, no, let me put it, so long as it wasn't contradictory to the National Socialist views. So no, you couldn't have a, the People's Workers Daily newspaper, a communist newspaper. You couldn't do that. It was censored. But the government wasn't telling you what to do. There's a distinction between, you can't be a communist paper, you can't be a paper that is going to criticize the Führer for being, a dictator or something. You can't do that. But so it's censored, it's controlled in that sense. But it was a press that was doing it sort of its own thing. And also, and you look at the movies, Goebbels had a lot of influence on the movies, but the movies were still cranking out movies all the time, and they were doing their own thing. UFA and some of the other major studios in Berlin, they were cranking out those movies. They couldn't be a anti-Nazi movie, but they didn't have to be a Nazi movie, if you get the sort of, you want to, whatever. So that's sort of the kind of thing that you're looking at. It was, so in Czechoslovakia, yes, it got to where there was only one party you could basically join. Yes, if you weren't publicly supporting the new regime, you weren't going to have a sensitive government job, those kind of things. But if you were actively supporting, like trying to do in, clandestine newspapers, or you're trying to do some other sort of anti-government activity, yes, the Gestapo, the SS, or other types of groups are going to come down hard on you. But if you were just going about your daily life at this time, because we're talking about, early 39, um, just after, because early 39 is just around this time is when they swallowed up um, Czechoslovakia. But, before the war starts, it's not a harsh occupation. They're not coming in, unless you're Jewish or something. Yes, that would be, they're not coming in and confiscating your property. They're not coming in and doing, that kind of stuff. So I don't know what they would be doing about Lithuanians in the Memel area. But of course, they're free to sell up and leave. Now, could they get their money out once they sold their properties? That might be a serious question. Again, this isn't, well, and it's sort of to a point what, I'm, again, as I'm not making excuses for anything the Nazis are doing. But the Nazis weren't the Soviet Union. They weren't the state press, Pravda. That's going to be, just purely a TASS, the two newspapers I know from the communist era. They aren't just going to be the state government-owned and government minutely controlled, or, basically government, or, press. They weren't that in Germany. That's not what Germany was about at this time. So, yes. Okay, now, we have, which I've been waiting to get these things up to get to strategic effect, and pumping hard for it because we want to get those before the war, not delay. We have railroad icon, or tycoon, and agricultural industry. 2% more efficiency and 10% supply throughput. That is very good. Or 15% on the manpower. Well, we have mining, which has a 10% hit on the manpower. I'm going to do the agricultural industry here to offset that, and obviously we'll get a 5% bonus over the two, not just canceling each other out. Collectivized farms, I think you have to be a communist state to get, so we're never going to get that. So I'm hoping before this year is out, we can gain up enough resources to get railroad tycoon. So I want to do that before the war, and then switch over to short-term bonuses after that, because we want that railroad, or the supply throughput, mainly for the Eastern Front campaign, so we don't need it yet. Like I said, we've talked about a possible, well, it turns out to be an alternative reality quick version of, see if we can, just to see what it'd be like to invade the Soviet Union or not. We might do that in 40, but it better go fast or we're not going to be okay, yes, new projects, get that set. So yes, 5,000 tractors, obviously. Supply, money, metal. Let's see, we go down to 40,000 or whatever. That's why we build up the big supplies, and why you should too if you're going to do this well. So they won't go to waste. Obviously, it might have been better to have an extra 4 divisions or something, but you need to have these supplies, and whether you use them to get the national effects, or you use them in other various things, or use them up later in combat, they will be good. Okay, airborne assault tactics. We're going to let that one go. In my playing history, I've had some near things that have won, and the organization is just like 1 or 2% from collapsing, and so yes, they know. Okay, did we send 2 here? Oh, we did. Okay, we'll send the 94th up to there. And so what we want to do is this, and then hit R, which brings up so that we can move all of these over here. Yeah, the sub won't be exactly named correctly. Don't know. We'll keep those divisional HQs around. We could disband them, but whatever. And yes, as they know. Oh, Reichman. He's one of the AI's favorite guys to put in as a leader. Okay, we want and R. And move these all over to the 95th. And so now we have two cool. Oh, we're gonna. I'm just gonna go to a nice, more motorized something or other. Hand. You know, let's send these guys over to. Okay, they could use some reinforcements. They could as well. Okay, and of course agricultural industry, we now have the effects, so that will continue to grow up our. And what tech do we get? Airplane radio communication, I think it's saying, yeah, 41, that's too far in advance. Let's do radar. Get radar going. Better. Do we have the first one built yet? No, it's still building. I really liked it when you could pre-build them. That's the one thing I seriously, and if I was gonna tweak and mod my own personal thing more, that's something I would see about making them pre-buildable, not just put them on the map. Because I know it's sort of, they say it's a cheat because the AI won't do it. Yeah, I know, but I still would rather stack up a bunch, and then when you get to places like the coast, you can just drop them in. Because because a radar facility, yeah, it needs about, it needs a time to have the concrete set, but the sort of expensive pre-build elements of it are, can be done before and transported, where I don't know, whole factory, you don't normally pre-build factories. You can theoretically, but it's, it's not the same. And so we're up at 39 here. Good. That was, yeah, LiDAR. So everything is either, we're researching 38 tech, so they made it to 39. We'll be back to more of those, I'm sure. I'm sure in time. Yeah, we like those. Some of those will be holding our west wall. And here, these guys. Okay, and who are we going to put in charge? Yeah, okay, that has a division in it. That's going to have a division in it. Well, these SA guys are too weak to stand on their own. Because, you can look at this, 3-5, whatever that exactly means these days, but that's a 0-0, so. Again, like I said, these guys are now weak here, compared to what they were before. Don't rely upon them as 130. Yes, there we go. Rely upon them as a frontline unit for, serious operations, the SA. So we need to sell some more supplies. So well, and how are we doing? 177. Coal isn't really a problem at the moment, so let's see what we can do. The US, buy some supplies? Yes, good. And will the Soviet Union sell us some more steel? I want to pump that up. Good. I want to, if I can, I want to get that railroad tycoon before the end of the year. That's my big goal. In sort of strategic thinking, if you will. Okay, yeah, we're getting tired of this. Got to keep it up, but we're getting tired of it. Okay, road network advance. Very good. And we'll stop that. Let's just look here to be... Those are maybe getting close to pushing ahead with those, but... Any of those. But first, let's see what we might do. Yeah, we'll start with this. And this will be the... And also we're forming the 10th Panzer Division. Great, form the 10th Panzer Division. Yes, we want that. And let's put that down there. I want that more than I want the Graf Zeppelin. Okay, we also need to look a little bit more. This. We're getting cheaper. Okay, those are kind of the same, so we want to there's one flying boat, 2 naval bombers. Yeah, we got lots and lots of medium and light bombers, so I don't need any more of those right now. Okay, submarines, yeah, we're sort of doing good for those. Coming through to keep working those down. What is the current price? 23, if I remember correctly. What is it at? 28 before? Not 2. We're gonna start on these. It's gonna take almost a year there. gonna start on those. All this before the graph's up. Sorry, heavy boys. We need to go with the rest of 130 there. Starting to get some level of air protection in the rest, and let's attach this to for just a second. Here we are, Fleet Core F. Okay, road network again. Well, just 0.2% of organization regain rate, but that's still nice. Okay, and let's see, who else can we sell something to? Switzerland, do they want? We've got money, right? Yeah. Buy supplies? No. Saudi Arabia, we've got money. Do you want to buy supplies? No. United Kingdom. You've got a little bit of money. Looks like you need supplies. Okay. Maybe. Probably not, but we'll go with a maybe. Netherlands, you need supplies. You're saying impossible. Iran. No. They don't have enough money. Oh good, you accepted. Okay, so infantry unit combined arms. I'm sort of guessing most of these are get just jump to 40. Okay, and well, let's do air launch torpedoes. And what dive bomber schools? Kampfflieger Schulen, Stutz Kampfflieger Schulen. Okay, one of the reasons Luftwaffe performed so well in the early years of the war was a very effective pilot training program. Okay, we've barely begun even before the Luftwaffe. A Hitler Youth unit was formed. The year HJ, having completed its initial military training, students moved to. Okay, let's go. Sorry, I'm just deciding to scan through this. Received his pilot's license. Okay, so both schools were okay. The schools close air support. Okay, so they should be called, instead of CAS, they should be S. Flieger Corps S. For Kampfflieger Schulen. Okay, money. Sorry. Money, metal, and supplies. Gain 500 officers, that will help. We are probably should even shift a little bit more leadership over. All those HQs keep affecting that. Lose a little teeny bit of manpower. Yes, we're going to go for that. Let's post it, no need. Mentioning that, let's just do that. Let's go up to 20. I still want to do a lot of research. I don't mind being at something like about 100%. You know, obviously anything over 100% is helpful. It does help with the regain rate. And once you get sort of critically deeper into the Soviet Union and stuff, that can really, oh, Prinzeugen, okay, that can really be an issue. But right now in the early stages, as long as we're, at least as long as I think we're on a trajectory to grow, I'm sort of good with it, being around 100. Now, of course, like I say, trajectory to grow, and you want it to grow so that once you get going out in there, you start taking a lot of losses, it will, you know, be able to absorb. So you do want more, no doubt. Okay, part of Tanganyika. Deutsches Land in Africa. I think you want to go to my main YouTube page, scroll down to there's that sort of one other videos section down there that has links to some other stuff, videos, movies shown or talked about in Third Reich events. It's there if you want to see it. I think still some of the links have gone dead and I've updated them. I don't know for sure right when you're seeing this if they'll be there, but should be there. It's a propaganda film about basically Tanganyika, Southwest Africa, and Cameroon. Yeah, it isn't, you know, had one person complained and thought that should be dead and buried. No one ever see it. You need to understand what the past was. So yeah, it's there. It's nothing terrible. I mean, it just, the German contribution, you know, had built buildings, industry, and this is the Pathfinders in Southwest Africa. You know, it was all good stuff. So, you know, I mean, that's what the movie was saying. Okay. Sending the Ordnungspolizei into Bohemia and Moravia. On March 16, 1939, the German Wehrmacht and police units moved to the remainder of Czechoslovakia. From Prague Castle, Hitler proclaimed the protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia. The occupation ended with the surrender of Germany following the war. For the Czechs, the protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia, the German occupation by military and police force represented a period of brutal repression. Czech losses resulting from political persecutions and brutal reprisals total between 36,000 and 55,000. Yes. Now, like as I was saying, it gets worse. Or at this point, you know, in early 39, they aren't doing that. But as we'll see, you know, they kill off a few towns, both destroy the towns and kill off all the people after Reinhard Heydrich is killed. So that's probably 5,000 people or more just there, you know, and there were Jews that were taken away. I presume those are part of those numbers. And there were, you know, I'm not doubting those numbers, but most of that stuff happens once the war started. This is one, again, point is to, if you look and try to think the Nazi regime, I don't know, in 1943 when it was still sort of like, hey, we might be winning this thing. Obviously by 43, you know, the Allies have landed in, you know, Sicily and whatnot. Maybe land in Italy. Oh, man. Stalingrad. You know, it's you know, it's still sort of, Germany's still strong, and Germany is hiding a lot of its negative stuff, like killing off the Holocaust, in the turmoil of the war. So it's doing a lot of bad things then. And of course, on the Eastern Front, they were doing massive bad things, killing lots and lots of people. As the resistance movements start happening, they start killing a lot more. And so that's sort of all to come. And so, but when they're being all that kind of repressive, and particularly in those cases repressive in foreign lands, and then try to judge, oh, well, that's what they must have been doing in Germany in 36. It's the wrong impression. So, and then part of the point I guess I want to make is had Hitler come out with all of his SA and SS and started acting super brutal to the German people in 1933 or 1934, the German people would have gone, what, are you nuts? And revolted against them. It was this sort of gradual increasing over time, the sort of Nazification, the National Socialization of Germany over time, that people became to accept this. This is part of what I sort of am studying, the phenomenon of Nazis, to understand this, because it's different than because the Nazi takeover is not a revolution. So it's different than, say, the Communist Revolution or the French Revolution, where you have this revolutionary zeal, you have butchery in the street. You had that in Germany in what, 1919, 1920, with the Spartacus revolt in Berlin, and the communists, they were going into schools and butchering people. I mean, like going in and killing everybody in the school. And then the Freikorps that were coming back from the east to sort of deal with it were coming on these scenes of horror that people that they saw, at least as children, teenagers, that were butchered because they had attended some sort of conservative school or something. There's at least one case of that. And the Freikorps, and so these guys are just outraged. So they then go perform butchery on the communists, not taking prisoners. And in some of the communist boroughs or sections in Berlin where they sort of held up, they killed men, women, and children or something, because as a reaction to what the communists had already done, because they were just enraged. And so you have this, revolution and counter-revolution, and that's a different phenomenon than what we're seeing in Nazi Germany. And I think this is important because it's not Nazi. It's in some ways it's Maoist, of what's, in my opinion, what's going on in the American university system right now. Maoist tactics. And it's this sort of gradual normalization of this new thought process that I see coming in America. I really see it coming. I really think it's dangerous. I see Trump as a reaction against it. For all that I don't like about how either Trump says something or does something or whatever, I look at that and go, it's just a reaction to this new growing gradualism towards, again, I don't want to in any way say it's, well, it's not the, well, it is anti-Jewish, people. You go look at the Women's March and a lot of these other things. They're anti-Jewish organizations, are highly inattentive. They always talk, oh, normalizing the Nazis. No, but the new anti-Semitism is in the left in America, and we're looking at something dangerous. Now, there's fortunately no Führer. There's no centralized person. It isn't Bernie Sanders. He ain't going to be it. It isn't Elizabeth Warren. These people have nothing on Hitler as mesmerizing of the crowd. So there is none of that. So I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm seeing the dangers, and this is what I'm trying to warn against them. You can be all for, hey, I want health care for the poor people. Okay, great. You want that. How are we going to pay for it? How good is the health care going to be? Is it going to be heroic health care for the poorest person in America? Oh, madam, you're 95 years old and you have something that's going to take $1 million a year to maintain your life. Oh, we should pay that. Okay. But there's 10 million of them, and do the math. What's that? $1 trillion? I mean, at some point we can't afford it. Okay. Now, obviously, my mother is, not asking for sympathy, but she's in a poor condition. She has some health insurance. She has Medicare, and so that's taking care of some of the stuff, and it's paying for it, the government. But that's all part of a system that they paid into. Because unlike Medicaid, Medicare, and whatever people pay into as they go through working for it, so that she's getting her things out. But it only covers so much. It only does so much. And that's, okay. And so, you know, how much can the government afford? And so this is the thing. Now, I personally believe that the government runs things badly. That's my belief. Governments run things badly. I personally believe that if it was freed up, it would be cheaper and better for more people to be helped with a free market healthcare system. It's not, and I'm sort of, you can tell I'm sort of mad at this, is the propaganda that the left is that the mean party, the party that doesn't care, the death party is the Republicans. The Republicans really, truly believe that if they do certain things, one of them is make it so you can't, make it really hard for you to sue doctors. Not, well, okay, no, they don't want to make it hard for you. They want to make it so that if you sue a doctor and you lose, you pay the doctor's costs, you know, in legal costs. So that, because there are a lot of people that sue doctors and other things and settle out of court because the insurance company just say, hey, look, it's gonna, we might win, but it's going to cost us $20,000 just to try the case. So if we just settle for $50,000, it just goes away. So all of that gets added back into the cost of the health care for the people that haven't sued. But yes, I want, if there's a bad doctor who does something really bad, I do want people to be able to sue for it. But it's just too easy and it's too scammable. So there's certain things that can be done to radically lower the cost of health care, okay? And I think would do better. I personally believe that more people would be helped out better with a more free market system. And then you can still have Medicare, which is for older people, and Medicaid which is for younger people that don't have the money. You can still do those two programs, but but then all the rest of the people, they sort of do their own thing. I truly believe that would help more people. I know I have a large European audience and you're used to socialized medicine. I understand that that's just the way you currently think. I truly think would help more better in a free market system. Partially because with the free market, there's more innovation. It's not, I do truly believe that government healthcare will become more stagnant. It'll be harder to get new procedures approved, new things approved, new drugs. And I want innovation. And I also think the ability to make money off of your innovations as opposed to government stuff will truly have more people doing more innovations than having government paid labs to do it. I truly believe that. I am not part of the death group. I'm part of the life group, but I believe it in a different path. But so I'm seeing this gradualism that I see in National Socialism. That's part of the reason I use the term, because what we're seeing in America is elements of National Socialism happening. Right now it's big in the medical industry that they're pushing. Right now, for the most part, most of medicine is privately owned and privately profited, but they're starting to do national pay for or subsidies and pay for that to the private. Then they're going to the left wants to go, then that doesn't work, so we've got to just the government pays for everything. And then they're going to go, oh, but all these private doctors and all this private stuff, no, they all just got to work for the government at flat fee. And I just think that's going to be the most god-awful thing in the world. I think that's going to ultimately kill a lot more people. Truly, I truly believe there will be a lot more deaths with a complete, total government, not just government paid for, but totally government-run healthcare. There will be a lot more deaths than if we went to a pure capitalistic thing. Oh, you don't have health care, oh, you can't afford it, well, you die. I truly believe the government will butcher it so much worse. And they'll tell everybody it's all so great. I truly believe that. I may be wrong. And part of it, though, is some of you here that watch this channel, oh, you're living in Denmark. Denmark's a small country, and if you organize it up in Denmark, I think I might agree with you with national health care, because it's small. It definitely is something on the scale of Luxembourg. Yeah, how many hospitals are in Luxembourg? Yeah, let's just have the government run it. And then, oh, some 100 people need super healthcare somewhere. We'll send them to Belgium or Germany or France or wherever to get their sort of stuff that we don't cover locally. You know, we don't have capabilities to do locally. you know, it's the economy of scale. So that's my personal belief. I could be entirely wrong. I understand that I can be, but that's my belief, and so that's where I'm coming from. And so I'm seeing this movement in the U.S. Similarly, like I say, there's a rising national anti-Semitism in the U.S. It's all, but they never call it that, and they never talk about hating Jews. They never mention, and there's often Jews on the stage with them. But they all talk about anti-Zionism. The new anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism. And that's what they couch it in today. And it's just anti-Zionist. But they mean they're anti-Semitism. That's truly what they are. I truly believe that. And there's a lot of people on the left, including Jews, that just think it's anti-Zionism, anti-occupation, rights for the Palestinians. Yeah, okay, that's what you believe, but I truly believe that the work under it is an attempt to demonize them, just like they've been demonized before. Because we have seen, and I'm going to continue to examine, Nazi thought that got spread into the Middle East. That's still there today, in the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay, well, that sort of ended in a preachy episode. So yes, we're going to establish the structure here. We get another big police organization here. And we're going to end the episode here. I want to thank you so much for watching. I want to thank you for liking the videos. I really do appreciate it. And of course, please post comments, questions, suggestions, ideas. And hey, you disagree with me? Tell me why. I'm willing to listen. I don't think I'm going to change my mind, but I'm willing to listen. So, thanks so much. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.